Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been a while now since I've done any sort of aircraft build in Minecraft. So I've decided now to create this video to show those who still want to see these sorts of videos how to make an aircraft for themselves. And I'll be going through my process of replicating any sort of aircraft, so you can follow this tutorial to build an aircraft of your choosing rather than just the ones that I make videos on, or other people of course. So yeah, let's get started. First thing that you normally do is, of course, finding blueprints for your selected aircraft. I'm going to be building a 727 today. I found this image on Wikipedia and just pasted it into paint.net. This is a free image editor that's very useful, so if you're on PC I definitely recommend getting this. I think Microsoft Paint 3D also works for this sort of thing, but this one's just better. So of course, first I want to get rid of this checkered background, so I'm just going to create a new layer and use the fill tool to fill it with a solid colour. There we go, so it's a lot easier to see now. And we've got some measurements here. For example, this is 46.69 meters long. However, it is definitely useful to get approximate measurements outside of just these basic values. So what you want to do is first go and measure whichever measurement is the largest one here. So you can see that this area I've selected is 1291 pixels wide, and what you want to try to do is make the pixels match or be a multiple of 10 of the length of the measurement. That way you can just measure it using the rectangle select tool. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So if this is 1290 pixels wide, so I'm going to do 4669 divided by 1290, and that gives this number. And then what you need to do is you need to go into image, resize, make sure maintain aspect ratio is checked, and then take this width, 2739, multiply that, just paste in the number that you just had, and then we get this. Just round that to the nearest pixel, or I think you can just paste the whole thing in. It does it for you, and then it should correct for the height as well. And now it's resized it, and you can see that if I select this length again and then look down here, it's probably quite hard for you to see it, but that does say 4666, so it's pretty close. It's not perfect. Of course you'll want to use this number for the whole thing, but of course if you want to measure the distance between the front and main landing gear, you can just do that with this instead. So that's all set up now. Now I'm going to go back into my game, and first I'm actually going to measure the distance from the nose gear to the front of the aircraft. So that's 464 pixels, which would mean it's about, I'll say 4 meters, so that then I can go. Now I forgot to fully explain this in the video, but if you're wondering why I'm using lime wool blocks, they're just being used as a reference for the dimensions of the aircraft and will be removed at the end. 4 meters in front, and place the nose landing gear on the front of this spot here that I'm going to actually build it. So this is where the front of the aircraft is going to be. I would also highly recommend using World Edit if you're building it on Java Edition. It's not too difficult to install, you just need Minecraft Forge, and then you can install World Edit, and it works on single player. But World Edit is not required for building aircraft if you can't install it on your device. It's just a very helpful tool which speeds up the process. So what you can do is find out how wide the thing is. So that's 33 meters, so 33. It needs to be an odd number, because that way you can have one block in the middle instead of it being like between two. It's just a bit awkward. So you can stack, I'm going to stack 16 that way and 16 that way, so then the whole thing is 33 blocks, which is equivalent to 33 meters. As a side note, if you want to do 1.5 to 1 scale or 2 to 1, whatever you want to do, then you just have to, with every single measurement you use, you just have to multiply that by 1.5 or 2 or whatever scale you're doing, and then use that. And I'm also going to stack it 46 blocks that way. If it's 47 blocks long, then you want to stack it by 46, because it doesn't include the block that you're stacking from. So as you can see, I've measured the width and the length of the thing. And let's do what we were just going to do for the main landing gear. So we measure the distance between them, so that's 19 meters, and then just do 18 as the gap. So stack 18. We place these, that should be about 5 meters. So the gap between them, saying 6, so that should be a 5 between them. So like that. So the landing gear there is pretty self-explanatory, and for the, you can measure the gap between the ground and the aircraft here. So I'm just going to say that it's 1 meter here, just round it up, and then go all the way to the front. Try and just make a nice nose cone shape as best you can, and the fuselage is going to be, it actually says how wide it is, and I think it's roughly circular. So it's saying 376. So for the height, you can do it to the nearest half meter. So I'm going to make it 4 blocks tall. However, for the width, you have to make it to the nearest odd number, which is a bit annoying, but it's just to make sure there's a center block rather than 2, like I was saying before. So we have to make it only 3 blocks wide, but it can go up to 4 tall. So 1, 2, in fact I'll just do it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just use that as a reference. I do like to use lime wool as the measuring block, just because it's a nice bright colour. But yep, just fiddle around with the nose cone shape until you get something that looks like the real aircraft. I'd recommend having, as well as blueprints, also having an image of the actual aircraft, just so you can see and get a sort of real life reference. And for the cockpit windows, it is ideal if you can use glass, but for a lot of cases you'll want to use a different sort of block, so you can use slabs for the windows. It doesn't look quite as good, but you can get a better shape more easily. So I've been playing around with it for quite a while, and I think that's the best shape I'm going to get for this aircraft. Of course, you don't have to finalise it just like that. You can go back to it afterwards. Anyway, let's continue on. I'm now going to measure the distance between the front and where it starts to sort of curve in towards the back of the aircraft. So I'm going to go to about there where the curve starts to get obvious. So that's 33 meters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another line here, stack 32, and then just use world edit on this as well, stack, just keep, and just try and get it up to there. I'll just have to delete that. So there we go, and we're going to try and make it curve in towards a point about there. So that's not quite all the way to the back. That's about 6 meters from the back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right. So that's where the furthest back point's going to be. I'm going to make it like that. So that's where the APU is going to be. Top section should be fairly easy. Just, yeah, that's not too bad. And the bottom, gonna need it to curve a little bit more sharply. 3, 2, 1. That's okay, but I might do that. That's looking okay. And so you basically just get a sort of outline that you can follow on the inside. Yeah, something like that looks alright. Just do the same on the other side. And I'm going to add some engines. And if you're wondering how to quickly flip things with World Edit, you just select the part that you want to flip, go to the center of the aircraft, / copy, / flip. I'm going to flip north, and then paste it again, and it shows up on the other side. Exactly the same. Very, very useful. On to the tail next. And with the tail, it's important to try and gauge the gradient of each of the edges of it. I'd say that's about 50 degrees. So if that's 50 degrees, that's quite close to 45 degrees, which means you can sort of go up with upside down stairs like this, or if it's on the front, right way upstairs, you know what I mean. And at this point, it's probably also helpful to measure the height of the whole thing. In fact, you don't even need to measure it because it's got it on here. 10.3 meters, so that's just basically 10.5, I'll say. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we'll add a slab on top of there. So that's the main tail shape done. I'm going to move on to the horizontal stabilizer now. So that's about 5 or so meters wide at the root, half a meter down. And this is where an actual image comes in handy, so I can see that that's sort of a silvery colour. I can use the right kind of block. Of course, the rest of the aircraft I'm just leaving white, and I can paint that in whatever livery I want a bit later. But for that colour, you can just search slab and then find which one seems best. I think smooth stone slab is a pretty good option. And that's about 45 degrees, so I can just go, how wide is it? About 11 meters. So that's 5 each side. And it's pretty much level, so we don't have to do any up or down, it's just flat. But of course with some aircraft you will have to do a bit of making it a bit elevated at the ends like that, to try and get it angled upwards, but we don't have to bother with this. So that's pretty good looking tail section. I'm just going to leave that and move on to the wing box actually. Which is just the area where the wing meets the fuselage, where the fuselage sort of widens at the bottom. So that sort of area is 13 meters long, and it starts 16 meters from the front. So you can use the wand to sort of measure distances if you select the first block and then just fly down to somewhere. Select the second position, it says how many blocks are selected there, so that's 20 meters. I want to go down to, so that's 16, so it'll start here. And in fact, I can use stair like that to sort of get a half block, so that is 15.5, so that's about right. And then the actual wing box I said was 13 meters long, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we add another one of these, so that equals 13 along with the first one. And I'm actually not going to repeat that on the other side yet, because from this point I'm just going to do one wing and then copy the whole thing over with World Edit. Of course, if you're on console or something, again you will just have to build it manually. And see this, the wing is sort of angled up a bit. I don't tend to worry about that first. I just build the wing completely flat and then build some blocks on top of it to make it look angled, and then get rid of the original flat shape. it starts here, 17 meters from the front. So I already measured that as 16, I'll double check. 17. Start it there. And then from here to the end of the wing, the very tip, 31 meters. That's 31. So I'll add a little marker there and put a block there to signal that that is where the wing should end. And where it flattens out at the wingtip, almost 3 meters. I'm just going to do 2 for the sake of this. And this looks like it could be just like this all the way. Oh no, not quite. That would be ideal, but it looks like we're going to have to do a little bit of this where we sort of do 1 block, then 2 blocks, then 1 block, then 2 blocks. So this is another bit that can get a bit difficult, but that doesn't look too bad. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 1 1 1 1, and then the trailing edge. The whole wing is 8.5. Say. So once you've got the basic outline, you can start sort of layering it up. Now at the root of the wing, that's getting close to 1 meter tall, so I'm going to increase that to get that sort of shape on top. I'm sure that's okay. And then as the wing gets thinner, we will just make it 1 slab higher. So I think overall that's not too bad of a wing shape, but you get the idea. You just need to get the overall outline just flat and then layer it up to get that sort of angle to it. And now I'm going to just add some sort of colouring to the wing, the leading edge. I think it depends on the airline whether or not they paint it, but I think the leading edge is usually a bit darker, and then it looks like the areas near the tip and the root of the wing are painted white on many airlines. And I'm just going to go back to the vertical stabilizer, and it actually looks like it's usually painted white like this. And again, I'm just going to leave the other side for a moment. And for some finishing touches, you can add some windows and doors if you want. So I'd recommend, for 1:1 scale at least, using stairs. You can do them upside down or facing, whichever way fits. So you can do that, and you can also use a different sort of white block, like white concrete, for example, to make the doors sort of stand out. Now on my aircraft, I'm not actually going to do much of that because I'm going to paint this in the livery of a cargo aircraft, but it looks like the cargo variants do still include the emergency exit doors, so I'm going to include those anyway, like those, and one at the back here. And I'm actually going to change the colour of it. I mean, you can just do quartz instead of smooth quartz, so it gives it a sort of outline. So a block of quartz, you can see that sort of gives an outline for the door and emergency exits. Let's just do these upside down, and that looks a bit better. And I'm going to quickly clear all of these line blocks because I'm done with them now. So replace line wall 0, and now I'm going to flip the entire thing. In fact, I should have done that here. Up to here. Copy, flip south, paste, and it just flips it all over. So we have the full aircraft here, and actually as a last touch, of course, you can just go back and redo stuff if you're not happy with it. The landing gear doors, I think, need to be done. I'll just do that, or even like that. Yeah. So there you are, that's it. I'm going to end the tutorial there. I hope you found it useful. I'm very sorry to the people who subscribed for the aircraft build tutorials, and I just haven't been doing them recently. I just wanted to make a video sort of going through everything that I do to build an aircraft, instead of just building one and then making a tutorial on it. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.